Alright, so January 1st, 2020, the very first movie of the year that I saw was Cats. And that movie was trash. So for 2020, movies can only go up from here, right? Well, not by much. Okay, The Grudge 2020. This is like the fourth reboot or remake of the Grudge movie. This is probably the worst one. And I walked into the theater expecting to have, just a dumb January movie with some cheap scares, but at least have a good fun time. And what I got was a movie that felt like the script was written in Mad Libs. And to give credit to what the movies do, the script's probably the best part of the movie. But when I say script, I mean the actual written word. The delivery of the lines and the performance of the actors is completely garbage. There was a few good eggs throughout the cast, but everyone else is just so forgettable. I couldn't even tell you the name of any characters in this movie, besides one guy, and I only remember his name because it's Phil Spencer. He has two first names. I thought that was funny. But that's about it. In terms of the movie, he's just a guy. He's just a guy. Nothing really special to him. But enough with the actors. How was the actual scares of the movie? It is a horror movie after all, so how scary was it? And so at this point, I would tell you about the scares, if there was any. You see, I don't know if I'm just desensitized to horror movies or if this movie was just not scary, but I can tell you this. In my entire theater, nobody screamed once during this movie. At all. There was no screams, no yells, no shrieks, not even any laughs. There was a couple of groans at the very end of the movie whenever the credits rolled, for a whole nother reason, which is stupid. But in terms of scares, there's none of them. It's just a 90-minute movie full of jump scares, and not very good ones at all. There's no attempts of horror in the movie. There's no, suspense. There's no tension building. There's no none. There's attempts at all these things, but they're not good until they just throw jump scares at the screen every 10 minutes. I'm not even kidding when I say this. The very opening shot, the first 60 seconds of the movie, there's two jump scares, and then they're not good. You see them coming a mile away. That's how the entire movie is. You see all the jump scares coming right away. You say, oh, that happened. Oh, so that's going to be up there. It is. And that's just how the entire movie is. It's so predictable. There's nothing good about this movie at all. To kind of illustrate how scary the movie is, whenever I go to the movies, like if me and you were going to go to the movies on a date, and we watch a horror movie, I'm not going to eat popcorn. The reason being, because if I'm scared by the movie, I'm scared that I'm going to eat some popcorn and jump at a scary moment and choke on the popcorn. So if we go to the movies together and I'm not eating popcorn, it's because I'm scared. I ate popcorn during this movie. But I do have to give credit to this movie for something, and there is one actually really cool shot in this movie, and the reason it's so cool is because it's not thrown at your face, it's something in the background. And I don't want to go into any hold on. I can't go in... I don't want to worry about spoilers. I haven't even told you about the story yet. The story! And there's kind of one twisted together. Imagine this. Imagine you go to the library, you get 3 random horror books off the shelf, you rip out every single page of all 3 of those books, throw them on the ground, and just pick up a handful and call it a day. That's what this movie feels like. It feels like there's 3 different movies crammed into one, all because they share a monster. You see, it just feels like 3 short films put together all because they had a monster, and they're like, that's a monster movie, that's a monster movie, that's a monster movie. Let's make them all the same monster and connect them. Okay, but how are they going to connect? So what happens is there's a there's not really a main character to this movie because there's no main story to this movie. So we start off initially with this lady who's a police detective cop, and she finds this house, and whenever she goes to the house, she starts getting haunted or whatever, right? And so she goes back to the police department, and she starts going through the files of this house, and she finds, here's a case of a murder that happened at this house, woo-doo-doo-doo. And so we kind of go back in time to see how that murder played through, but we don't see the entire story. So we start with the detective. She goes, finds the case of the first murder in that house. We watch like the first 10 minutes of that murder, or of that story. And you go jump to completely characters we haven't met at all before. It just throws them at us. And then we're back to the detective, and she's looking at this new second case of this house. So it's just like, you see, the way this movie works, it's not told chronologically. It's told in like, going back to the book, it's like chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 0, chapter 5, chapter 6, chapter 3, chapter 8. It's just out of order. And it's supposed to give you the sense of, we see this, and then, half an hour later we see, so that's why that's like that, and that's how that happened. And it tries to do that, but it doesn't succeed. It's just so, who cares, There's no reason to care about why this thing happened. So the reveal of it, like an hour or so later, Who cares? There's nothing to care about in this movie. The characters are boring. There's no scares in the movie. The story is confusing as heck. This movie's got nothing going for it. Alright, just so a recap for the acting. The acting is okay when it's good and really bad when it's bad. The scares are just jump scares that are not scary at all. You can see them coming a mile away. The story, it's there for the jump scares. That's all it's there for. It's like they just had a bunch of jump scare ideas and wrote a story around how to get those ideas into a movie. So in conclusion, The Grudge 2020, it's a movie. Should it have been made? Probably not. I didn't even know it was coming out until like a month ago. It just kind of happened. I'm sure it'll make money. I don't know why. Alright, so for The Grudge 2020, the first review that I've done of the year, what is my rating of it going to be? Dun 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 dun. I'm going to give The Grudge 2020 3 grudges out of 10. Yeah, this movie sucked. Don't watch it. If you're gonna watch it, Godspeed. And without further ado, I bid you a good night. Alright, so that's my review of The Grudge.